Hi, this is your girl, Deborah Vines-Epps on Talk Your Talk, where you have conversations, where you are willing to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And tonight, we had the topic of discussing gay acceptance now versus then. However, that topic will be discussed at another time, postponed at this moment. But I still wanted to come on and talk to you all about something that's very, very important right now. Talking about death won't kill you, it won't. Simply planning your death, honoring yourself, the dignity of how you want to leave here, it will not kill you, right? Of course, when you open the newspaper, yes, there are people that still have a newspaper. And I'm not going to keep you all long tonight. I'm not going to keep you all for the hour. I just wanted to take this time since we are not doing the other topic. It will be postponed, of course, because that is a very important topic as well. I just wanted to still take advantage of this moment with you all. People are leaving here left and right. I'm talking about in so many ways, where a lot of times is very abrupt, is tragic, devastation is sudden. And some people, even children, babies, right? And because of that, sometimes we think that we have time to do things when technically we really don't sometimes. We like to hope and think that we do. And we try to put things off and say, hey, I'll get to it, but sometimes it's too late. So I'm just going to briefly discuss some things with you. And then at a later date, I will go into detail when I talk to one of the family members who actually, we've had several people to come pre-plan, but we had one recently where it really took her out of that moment in grief, of being anxious and anxiety driven. She was able to really plan those other things that she didn't do during the pre-planning. But the hardest part was done for her mom. So I will talk more about this at a later date, but I have some notes as well. The first thing is honoring your loved one with dignity and care. Now, I say your loved one because at this point, it's an at need, meaning the person is already deceased. They are now considered the decedent. You can honor yourself by pre planning as well. There are so many misconceptions about funerals, right? People think that funerals have to be somber, it has to be a certain program. Being in the funeral home business, I am truly learning that when they say celebration of life, it is really a celebration of life. And you can tell, truly tell the difference. And so the misconception is that you have to have a program, you have to read the obituary, you have to have a certain guide that you go by. Now, that is still something that you can have in a celebration as well. But the misconception is that it is the same thing that you do when someone passed, the same outline. No, it's up to you. It's whatever you want to do. Okay. I mean, you have people now, we call us like, the new millennials, doing things different from the other funeral homes that has, been in business for so long. But we all know that as the years grow, things change, technology change, ideas change, and so a lot of funeral homes now are doing things different. So the misconception of that is that you have to have a funeral, go to a cemetery. No, it's different. Okay, and we'll talk more about that when I bring the guest on next month when we go more in detail. Second thing is emotional preparation, understanding grief and its stages. Now, I've noticed that when I meet with families, once the loved one passed, the grief has already kicked in. Better yet, let's go back. If it's a hospice case, or if it's someone that is terminally ill, the grief starts then, not only as the caregiver or the loved ones are taking care of that loved one. The grief kicks in then, right? But it really kicks in when the person passes away. And so when you're in that emotional state, when you're grieving, when you're stressed out, can you agree that sometimes your mind is not there where you are? And so you have a tendency to make impulsive decisions. You have a tendency to be short fused. I always like to use um the analogy of hitting a fly with a sledgehammer, right? You're taking something and making it more of what it is. And rightfully so, because of what you're feeling, you're grieving. But I do know that people handle grief differently. And when you're not prepared for it, or when you don't have things planned, even when the unexpected happens, then you have a tendency, the tension starts to do this, and it explodes. And whoever is around, you get it, no matter what. The tensions amongst some families worsen. The division starts within the families, right? People start to appear that wasn't there before. People want to have say so. But if there's no insurance policies, or if there is no, compensation to help out, then the people, as the families reference to, the people that have the most to say are the ones that's not contributing, right? So when you're going through the grief, the grief, we have stages, and there's another one added on too. But I always use DABDA, right? And that is you're in denial, and then the anger kicking in, right? Bargaining. If I was here, if I would have prayed, or if I would have got there a little bit sooner, or if I was in their lives, you're bargaining, right? Then depression kicks in, and then you have acceptance, right? So these stages of grief, and they can move in order. They're very interchangeable, so they do not have to go in their order. So why not pre-plan, as if we pre-plan with car insurance? Who says that it's best to have it and not need it, and need it and not have it? That's the same thing with life insurance or pre-needs, right? I'm not really go into detail with that. I would do that next time. But it's best to have it. You have car insurance all your life and never get in an accident, but you have it there, right? And you're paying each month. And who can agree that, I know in the state of Virginia, car insurance went up so much, and you don't have to get into an accident. It's they'll do like a census of all the accidents or things that happen in the state of Virginia, and because of that, it increases your insurance. My insurance went up almost $75, and I haven't gotten an accident in a long time. I'm with the USAA. So, but I still have to pay that premium for 3 vehicles. I pay about $367 a month, right? Yeah, I do have a lot of, great benefits on my insurance. That's why it's a little bit higher. But I've been with the USAA over 19 years, and my insurance was much cheaper. I kind of rant on that a little bit because I want y'all to understand that you should treat life insurance the exact same way. It's best to have it. I can't say not need it, because you're going to need it. We're going to leave here one day. And if you don't have life insurance, it's okay, because the people that save, or the people that have investments, or the people that already have the money put to the side, they just write the check, right? We know that a funeral can vary. That's the funeral home and a cemetery, a minimum of about $16,000, $17,000, right? Now, if you're doing a cremation, it's different types, and I'm not going to go into detail with that too. But you have direct cremation that can be as simple cremation, sometimes $795, $900, based on where you go. So again, I want y'all to understand that when you're in that moment of grief, oh my gosh, that is the most difficult time. The dignity and the care is here, but the impulsivity kicks in. All right. So I'm going to go to the next one. All right. Coping mechanisms and seeking support, that all falls under the emotional stage. Now we got legal and financial matters. This is where we talk about the importance of wills and estate planning. I want you to, wherever you're sitting at right now, ask yourself, do I have a power of attorney? Ask yourself, do I have a will? Ask yourself, if you have a lot of assets and different things, have I done my estate planning? Ask yourself, who is on my bank accounts? Do I have a joint account holder? I don't trust them. Maybe I don't trust this person, whoever. Let me see, do I have a POD, a payable on death, right? These are the things I want you to ask yourself. A lot of people don't. A lot of people wait until that person or loved one is incapacitated and they'll call us, because our funeral home, Presidential Funeral Services, located at 1629 High Street in Portsmouth, we do free living wills. We do last will and testaments. We do power of attorneys, and we do medical advance directives there on site, okay? I will tell you this, that we get a lot of calls for people where their loved one is incapacitated. Something that we can do, because they have to be in sound mind, and we have to verify that. And you see, as I get to this topic, I get, very sensitive with it, because since, I, have met with several families just to see the magnitude of people that thought they had things in order, didn't, or people that thought their loved one had things in order when they were asked to go find that book or that binder, or was told where the insurance policy was, and when they went, they couldn't find anything. If you're a veteran, they were told where the DD-214 was at, the benefits was at. They didn't know where anything was at. So I need for you right now, and I've said this before, at least know where things are, and at least know who's on the bank accounts. Because if you all ever heard a thing called probate state, oh my gosh. Every state is different with their laws, but probate court it can be 6, 7, 8 months, sometimes a year. Okay. All right. And again, I'm not going into detail, just hitting these points because I'm taking advantage of tonight, because the original topic was gay acceptance now versus then. And it was going to be with Clue. And Clue was going to push through tonight, but Clue wasn't feeling too well. And I could tell I'm an energy person, and she was just going to push through. And I told her, get some rest. So most definitely we are going to talk about it. So I just want to take advantage of this time to go over this with you all. Funeral expenses and budgeting. There are different types of funerals. That's your traditional. There's your traditional, meaning you have the funeral, you have the cemetery. Then you have your cremations, your direct cremations. You have your memorials, your cemetery. Some people actually do the graveside funerals as well. So it's so many different types of services. And these are the things I want you all to be privy of. You can easily contact the funeral home or go there and ask for what we call a GPL, a general price list, right? You can go ahead and ask how much the caskets are. You can go ahead and ask, pretty much what is the cost of a funeral. You can go ahead and ask these questions. These are all pre-planning questions, right? Insurance policies, people have them for various reasons. Some people have insurance policies so when a loved one passed, they can pay off debt. They can keep it for various reasons. Some people have direct burials, just enough to cover the expense. If you don't know who to ask, it's a simple free question. You can contact our funeral home. I don't care where you are. We can link you up with whomever you need to talk to in your state. Or if you have any questions, we can get those answers for you. You can just call our office at 757-966-1585. Again, that's 757-966-1585. Or you can email us at presidentialfuneralservices.com. Okay. All right. Let me move to the next one. So I'm just hitting things here and there. I'm not going into detail. That day is coming. But I want to make sure I hit all of the questions that people ask. And every time we get emails or people coming to the funeral home, I always write those questions down so I can create a list. And eventually I'm going to create a book for people to go by. This just a guide. When I say book, just a guide, because it's important that you all sit down with your family members, even down to writing your obituary. Who's best knowing you if you don't know yourself? Right? Write your own obituary. Okay. Let me see. The next one is choosing a funeral home. Now, I want to put this out there. Let me just put this out there right quick. So, if you have done a pre-need and already chosen a funeral home, by law, if you want to switch to another funeral home, you can. Let me repeat that. If you have already been that great one to pre-plan and do a pre-need and have chosen a funeral home, and now you want to go with another funeral home, you have already paid your money or you are paying each month with the pre-need, guess what? You can change with the other funeral home. Never let a funeral home tell you that you cannot go somewhere else. That is not true. And if they tell you that, guess what? You can report it. Okay? Let me make that clear. If that was to happen to us, one thing I always tell the families is I am comfortable with wherever you choose to go. I want you to be happy with your decision. Would I love for you to come to Presidential Funeral Services? Would any other funeral home love for you to come there? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's the wish of that family member. Sometimes things like this happen at funeral homes. Somebody may make a decision, once a loved one passed, they send them to a funeral home. Once that funeral home come pick them up and they have done a removal to transport them to their funeral home. At that point, you have now agreed to go in there, but it's not in contract yet. You will more than likely just be responsible for the transport fee to their funeral home. Another funeral home, if another family member say, no, I didn't want them to go there, but someone had already made the decision to send them somewhere else, you can now go to that funeral home and say, I want them to go somewhere else. All you would do is have that transport fee paid. All right. They can go somewhere else. It's important that you do not authorize a funeral home to embalm the loved one. You have to give them a verbal authorization before they can embalm. And then when you get to the funeral home is when you actually sign the papers. Okay. So it's a lot of things that when we get calls and we'll answer questions, even if you don't choose to come to us, we will still answer questions. And I'm not making this about Presidential. I am referencing my funeral home only when I want to give more details about things. Okay. The main topic of this right here is honoring yourself or your loved one with dignity and care. Pre-need, pre-planning, that's before they pass, or at need, after they pass. Imminent need is when they are like in hospice or close to death. So that's what imminent needs be. All right. Okay. I have a little gap to go by. All right. The next one is, let me see. Handling post-funeral responsibilities. What we do is we like to give what we call the survivor checklist. A survivor checklist will tell you everything you need to do once things have settled. I always tell family members, Because I know me, I would want to handle this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and your mind is still going. You're still trying to grieve, still trying to process everything. Everybody coming around to visit you. Your mind is here. I have to do this. I have to call change a deed. I have to call about the car. I have to do this. Look, a lot of funeral homes should be giving you should give you a survivor's checklist. It tells you everything to do post burial, even down to Social Security, reporting to the credit bureaus. We provide all of that for you. We even provide you, a funeral home should provide you with a pre-checklist. So I like to say pre, during, and post. I always use those type of checklists. Pre, what you do before. During, what we're going to handle after the person passed away, preparation. And then post, what to do afterwards. All right. Look, y'all, talking about death won't kill you. We're going to leave here one day. Everybody. And I can talk about it so easily and freely because I tell my family all the time. If I was to leave right now, I know that I have done what God wants me to do. I just know it. I know that I'm living in my purpose, and I'm very passionate about it. Very passionate about it. So when God gave me the vision to open up this funeral home, I said, you know what? I was like, God, what, funeral home? What? I ignored it. I did. But some things happened and it came back around and I did not ignore it again. When I tell you the step by step of this funeral home opening up, it couldn't have been any easier. That's how I knew it was all God's purpose. That's why I know everything that's happening with presidential is happening because of God. See, funeral homes, the misconception, I wouldn't even say misconception, but when people hear funeral homes, they think about death. Oh, I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there at funeral home. Death, I'm not touching. Everybody that have walked in our funeral home think it's either a art gallery. They call it what did no, he didn't call it a funeral parlor. I can't remember. We get so many different comments from families, right? But when you walk in, it feels nothing like a funeral home. And that was the point. All right. We've had people that didn't feel comfortable coming in to view their loved one. When they came in, they came back out we don't call them viewing rooms. We have a junior executive and a presidential suite, and that area where we have services at is called the Oval, all presidential, right? So when they come out, they'll say, my loved one looks good dead. They look good deceased. I never thought I would sit in a funeral home for 3 hours during the viewing. It just didn't feel like it. Some of them don't cry because, it didn't feel like, they're mourning or going through things, right? I'm referencing all of this because talking about death won't kill you. What would kill you is all of this other stuff that's going on in the world. Stress, right? The lack of preparation, the lack of care to self, diet, not eating right. All of those factors, there's so many factors that will. How is talking about death going to kill you when you know one day you're going to leave here anyway? People say, look, I want to plan my death, but I'm not leaving here tomorrow. I look at them and say, how do you know? I truly empathize with them. I said, how do you know? I don't know when I'm leaving here, but I can promise you something. I can go get a binder right now and I can show you that I made a table of contents that has every policy, everything written up, my will, everything even though I'm making some adjustments to my will and my estate that I'm going to add in there, but everything is in there. I want to make it so when I leave here, the stress that's already on you, now you will have the lack of, right? Why not? Why not? This is where I get a little irritable because are we just naive? I'm not against if you want to do a GoFundMe, I'm not against GoFundMe at all. GoFundMe's, whatever. But I will tell you this. How can you get upset with someone when they don't contribute to your GoFundMe? I've seen people say, go off, don't call me, don't say anything to me. You ask me how can you support, but you don't, but nobody's supporting my GoFundMe. You know what I want to say to those people? If those are one of you, and one of those people are you that's out there, support comes in various forms. Support is not always financial. It was your responsibility. Yeah, it was. It was your responsibility to have everything in place. Let people support you how they want to support you during that time. Your responsibility. The finger should be to you. Get mad at yourself. And I'm not being insensitive. I am telling you all, the most difficult part, the thing that really breaks my heart is when a family comes in and they're lost. Family planning meetings can go from 30 minutes to 4 hours based on how you have planned. I'm going to end by saying this, and I'm glad for the people that stayed on with me to listen. Some of you may think this is a boring topic. Well, to each his own. You're going to have to face it one day. You will. Some people say, I remember my dad told me this. He said, put me in a cardboard box. I said, really? Well, where you going in the cardboard box? Where? Like you know, people think this is a joke. Throw me in the water. I don't care where you bury me. Really? Because when you're gone, you don't have to worry about it. How selfish are you for that? That's selfish. And then my dad laughed and I was like, it's not funny. I smirked with him. But he knew. But his stuff is good now. Right? So I challenge you all to put it on your to-do list. And there are resources out here with you all with, you know, gunshot victims. There's so many city and state resources. Ask all these questions up front. And then if you don't know, the funeral homes can help you. There are so many resources out here for you to help for burials if you qualify for certain things. It is. It is. You'll be surprised. Let me see. I'm going to actually do some real life scenarios with you all, with loved ones that want to share things with you all. It's very relatable when you have people that come up here and talk. So again, I told you all I was not staying the entire hour. I just wanted to get with you all and take advantage of this moment to talk about how talking about death won't kill you. It won't. Then I'm going to let you all know when I reschedule with Clue on the topic that we were going to discuss tonight, which is gay acceptance, now versus then. So you all stay tuned for that as well. But for tonight and for this week and period, I need for you all to put on your calendar, put on your to-do list. Do I have my affairs in order when it comes down to pre-burial. Honoring loved ones with dignity and care. Honoring yourself with dignity and care. Talking about death won't kill you. Not talking about death is the problem. All right. Y'all have a great night. Y'all have a great night, great night. This is your girl, Deborah Witt. Talk Your Talk, where you have conversations with me, conversations of your choice. Some are uncomfortable conversations, some are about life events, and some are about, it may be about finances, business, anything. We'll talk about it up here. So you all have a great night and stay tuned for our follow up on our next topic. All right. Y'all have a good night. And remember, talking about death won't kill you. Good night.